So let me walk you through my spreadsheet, and hopefully I'll give you enough knowledge that you can change this and use it for your own league, however you like. So let me get out of here and go into the spreadsheet. And first thing you want to do, the link to the spreadsheet will be in the description for this video. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to come up here, go to File, and you're going to make a copy. That way, when you make, otherwise, mine, you're not going to be able to edit mine. So you have to make a copy and put it on your own Google Drive. Then you'll be able to make as many changes as you want. If you really screw yours up, you can always come back here and make another copy of mine, but you'll be starting from scratch again if you make a lot of changes. So first thing you want to do is there'll be a bunch of different sheets, and these all are kind of linked together. Some of them you'll need to alter, some of them you won't need to. I'm going to give you a high-level overview of what they all are, so this video could be a little long. The first place to start, though, where I would recommend is go to the players sheet, which you'll see here. And up here we'll have, in this column A, we have a bunch of players, and you can start putting people's names in here. Um, so for example, if this might be your own name, but I'll put my name, which is Ty, and you get this warning. I try to make it so, things that you normally don't want to change, it's going to give you a warning, but just click don't show this again for 5 minutes because we're going to be making a lot of changes. Okay, and say Jeff, Tom, I'm just going to make up some name, Rich, Bill, Jen, uh, Claire, and then one more, Nick. All right, so this is if I have like 8 people in my league, but obviously you could add a lot more people, and I might have to fix this one here. But anyway, so now I've got 8 people, and this will auto-populate everything else. Next thing you're going to need is handicaps, some starting handicaps for people. And let me just say that's 8, 9, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starting handicaps. Now this is just a field that really doesn't indicate. I just put this here because I like to see where people start at the beginning of the season. And then what you're going to do is, if I'm just going to copy these all the way across here, and I do that by hitting Control R, and now that fills out all these fields. Now you'll see what happens is it'll calculate their handicap into this field, and what it does is it takes the lowest 4 rounds of your last 6. Okay, so as your league goes on, you'll have to come back here and you'll have to enter people's new handicaps and move these around. I'll show you later on how to do that, but it takes the average of the lowest 4. So the average of the lowest 4 here is obviously 8, 9, 10. But if I change anything, so if I make this like a 7, you can see, well, this rounds this. So let's see, let's make this a 7 and make this a 7. Now that becomes a 7 because it's the average of the lowest 4 here, right? I could change this to like a 9, 4, and you can see that adjusts this automatically. But we're going to keep it our initial here, which is 8 for that person. So this is just the place to start, okay? Now that you've got that set up, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the course settings tab here. And now you need to enter information for the course that you're going to play. For your handicap indexes for all the holes, okay, in here. So enter across here. And then the pars for all the holes. I give all my players the option to play 2 different tees. So I have long and short. So you're going to need to put the slope and rating for each one of those in this spot too. If you don't want to offer people different tees, that's fine. But here I got 2 different tees. You could just offer them one, but you need to put some slope and rating in there. Now, if we go to this course handicap, okay, you'll see that all my names are populated in here from when I entered all the players' names. And over here, I can select what tees they're going to be playing, right? So Rich is going to be playing short, Bill's going to be playing short, Jen's short, Nick's short. So all these people, and then Ty, Jeff, and Tom are all playing long. So this is going to calculate your handicap according to whatever tees you pick here. Now that you have those kind of basics set up, let's go through some of these other things in here. So let's start at the beginning here. First of all, I have a leaderboard. So this leaderboard comes in really handy. What you do is, let's say you've got only four players. You could put everyone's name in, but you'll see in this drop down, you can pick who populates each one of these. So if I could put myself in there, oh, I must have some scores enter in. That's actually a good thing. Um, Let me see, I can put Jeff in here. Let's just say we've got four people playing right now in the league. And you could fill this in with more people. I only have 11 spots in here. Um, but you can see that as soon as I do that, it populates some scores in there, and I'll show you how those get populated in there. But this is just the leaderboard, so that other people in your league can come in and look at this. And if I remember, I'll show you how to publish this. Um, so the people can look at it. I also have a team leaderboard. So let's say at any given night, we have team competitions too. So what you can do is you select the person's name. So say Ty and Jeff are on the same team. I will put that in there, and then say Jeff and oops, not Jeff. Say Tom and Rich are on the same team. Um, I'll put them in there as well. And then these things are all left over from what you can do is you can make these empty. And this is left over from an old competition I had. So if you change these to empty, they'll be cleared out. So you can see now that I got team one, Ty and Jeff. I've got team two with Tom and Rich. And then what I can also do in here is I can say, okay, let's do Stableford scoring. And this is going to be modified Stableford. We like that scoring better. Or you can just do straight net scores. So if I change it to net scores, it takes these two people and combines their scores into this field here. And I can say I want to take the min, my 5-minute timer time out. So it's going to take the min of these two scores. I could take the max of these two scores. I could take the sum of those two scores. I could take the average of those two scores. Okay. And I can do the same thing for net or Stableford. So I can add the sum. So now I'm doing sum Stableford, and then it totals up everything over here. So that's if you want to do, you don't have to do team play stuff. This is kind of like what we do on a weekly basis, do team play. This is just our schedule that I put out. I leave this in there. This doesn't really impact any of the other sheets. This is just for the guys to come in and see like who they're matched up against. So this is me here. You can see the first week I played JH and he played me, and then I just had this out. It's really, this is just more for that. You can do your schedule any way you want. But I left it in there just as an example. Let's see, we talked about, we'll come back here to the leaderboard. So after you select the people's names in here, it gives you lots of things. Your gross score will be populated. I'll show you where that puts in. It shows you strokes that you're getting on a hole. It shows you your net on that hole, and it shows you a Stableford score, and then it sums up everything over here as well. So here's my Stableford score here, my net, my over-unders, and then it just, each one of these tells you what each one of these fields is. Again, leaderboard. Well, let me show you how to publish this since we're here. You go up here to File, Share, Publish to Web, and now you can do entire document as a web page and publish. Sure, yes. And see this link? You can now copy this link, and you should be able to go to another tab. And now you can see that it's a website of your spreadsheet. And now people can come in here, and this actually works pretty well on a phone. They can click through and they can look at all this stuff in here as well. Okay. So yeah, so let's go back to the spreadsheet. See, schedule, team leader, ladder. So this shows you, so any given week when someone has a matchup, say player one, if they win their matchup, I come in here, and this is a little bit more of a manual thing. Every week I have to come in here and I adjust this. So if player one played player two and player one won, well, player one would go up the ladder. Player two would go down the ladder. Okay, oops. Then I just delete that. And so any given week, people go up and down the ladder. and the levels, and this is what handicaps impacts the handicap at the end of the year before the championship rounds. This is where you import scores as the night's going on. So as people play, the scorecard comes up on GS Pro. I put people's score in. So this is where you're going to be spending most of your time putting your scores in so that they show up on the leaderboard. So you can see back here in the leaderboard, what I put here into input scores populates the leaderboard, top populates the team leaderboard. So for instance, that's why Tom didn't have him showing up as having any scores. So I could, in theory, just take Jeff's scores, copy them down, and now when I come over here to the leaderboard, Tom should have the exact same scores as Jeff because I copied his scores over. Okay, so this is where you're going to be spending most of your time inputting those scores. This is just the Stableford worksheet. That looks like an error there. I'll have to figure out what the issue with that is. But you shouldn't have to change anything here. This is just calculating the Stableford scores. Course settings, we talked about that. Strokes, this is just calculating strokes. Again, you probably shouldn't have to do anything with this either. I'll have to fix some of these errors and figure out what's going on. Course handicap, we talked about that as well. Net scores, you shouldn't have to touch anything here. This is just calculating net scores. We talked about players already. Differentials, so this is calculating the differential. So what that is if you're familiar with golf handicapping, you can't count anything higher than a double bogey against your handicap. So this just takes any scores that are higher than a double bogey and reduces, I'm sorry, yeah, any scores higher than a double bogey, reduces them down to a double bogey and gives you the score differential here. Which then brings us back to players. So after you play a round, okay, this differential, if you play 9 holes or you play 18 holes, depending what you do, so we play a lot of 9-hole rounds, this differential here is what I'm going to put in as their new handicap or for that particular round. So you can see I shot a 4, so that would actually come in here now. Jeff shot an 8, so I put that in here. Tom shot an 8. Rich shot an 16. Bill shot a 16. Jen shot a 16. Claire shot an 18. And Nick shot a 21. So you can see when I put that in there, it now calculates their new handicaps. And of course, like for people like, Rich, Bill, who did really bad, that's not one of their lowest 4 scores, so their handicap kind of stays put. But here you can see that Tom had a good round, so his handicap, no, it's still taken, it's going to 8, 8, 8, 10, so it's still a 10, so it didn't get adjusted too much. But that's essentially what happens. And then we play again next week. What I would do is I would take the next score, populate it in here, populate it in here, populate it in here, and then once I get out to 6 weeks, I would start back at 1 again and populate these. So you just want to keep on rolling scores through there. The tricky thing though is figuring out, which scores to populate if some people don't show up every week. So what I typically do is I'll color code these and I'll say, okay, that was a round. And then you just have to make sure that as people play, you're filling up those 6 slots sequentially. Hopefully that makes sense. That's pretty much it. I just have to fix some of these errors and figure out what's going on, but hopefully this helps you out. One thing I forgot. It helps to hide some of these tabs that you're not using. Actually, 2 things I forgot. Otherwise, so when you come over here, you can see when people get in here, this is the web publish page. All these are listed across the top. Well, if you hide them, then you won't see those. So let's see, I can hide. This is one that you never use, so I'm going to hide that sheet. I rarely use, that's one you probably won't need. So I'm going to hide this one. Net scores, hide that one. Course settings, hide that. Players, hide sheet, differentials, hide sheet, Stableford, sheet, import, I need that one, ladder, I'll keep these out. So that way when I come back over here, refresh, people just see like the most important ones when they're looking at the leaderboard. Coming back here, also what I do is as we play games throughout the year, so let me go back to the leaderboard here, I will take, after the round is over, I'll take this leaderboard and I will duplicate it. You can see now I've copied leaderboard, and then what I do is I will rename this to whatever the date is. So today's the 8th. I'll say November 8th. Done. And then I will also come up here and do Control A to highlight everything. So Control A will gather everything. I'll Control C, and then I will right click, paste special, values only. Now I have basically a stagnant version of that sheet, and I'll move it over here so that we have like, so here's a copy of like the one that we just played yesterday. So that way I have it. If anyone ever comes back and says, hey, I thought I won my match on November 7th. Well, I can open this up and say, no, you didn't. You lost against Jeff or Ty. And then I highlight this green as people that won, red are people that lost. So then you can also hide these two, but you just, kind of keep a history of stuff. Just delete this sheet.